Mr. Hanssen, you're in early.
Worms to be caught, Mr. Hope.
Allow me.
Oh, thank you very much.
So would these worms have anything to do with your plan to improve the hospital's teaching status?
Oh, I'm glad to see you've got your finger firmly on the pulse, yes. The Vice Chancellor and I are meeting with the University Board this afternoon.
I have to say, some of us are rather surprised at your sudden zeal for matters educational.
An increased affiliation with the university will give us the status and funding we need to make pioneering advances in medical technology and treatments.
So it's about money.
No, it's about legacy, it's about excellence, it's about building our assets.
And in order to do this, you need the university to give you...
£12 million.
You're asking them to give you £12 million so that you can add to your empire.
I'm asking them to give me £12 million so that this hospital and everyone in it has a future.
You are now rocking with the best.
Mr. Hanssen.
Good morning, Mr. Malick.
You weren't waiting for me, were you?
Are you aware that your shift began 11 minutes ago?
Well...
So, do you have an excuse to hand, or would you like me to give you a moment to make one up?
All right, you got me. I can't lie to you, Mr. H. I overslept and I missed my train.
I really can't abide tardiness in any form. This will not happen again.
Definitely not.
Right. Thank you. You see, I need my registrars to be here long before I am.
Your registrar?
Yes. I'm Keller consultant today, and you are my registrar.
Hey, the dream team.
I had back-to-back meetings with the University Vice Chancellor all day, so effectively I need you to be me on the ward.
Yeah, well, I can do that. Involves a lot of looming, right? And scaring the life out of baby doctors.
Indeed it does. Speaking of which, you have 3 medical students shadowing you today. Should Professor Pavlovsky from the university choose to shine her light on even the darkest corner of our building, she will find that our capacity for teaching expertise is being vividly demonstrated by the likes of you.
Would you want me to teach them?
Inspire them, Mr. Malick. Mentor them. So that by the end of the day, they'll be standing on their desks and addressing you as Captain, my Captain.
So my reading of the situation is that we could be looking at a arterial problem.
What now? What, is everyone in this hospital just going to come and gawp at me? Why don't you sell some tickets?
This is your consultant, Mr. Hanssen. Thought you were in a meeting all day.
Evidently, the professor is running late.
Yeah, well, I was just explaining that Mattie Grace here has a arterial compromise with a complication of the cephalic artery. Would you agree?
How did she sustain her injuries?
Hello? I'm right here. You can't ask me, you know.
Hello, and yes, I'm well aware of that. I'm just not entirely convinced your account is reliable.
She fell down some stairs.
Yes, it says that here too, so full marks for consistency, none for plausibility, I'm afraid. I'm not convinced that this sort of damage could be caused by a fall. Your patient is lying to you.
Hey, don't call me a liar.
Always assume that your patient's lying until it can be proved otherwise. Ah, and there is the professor at long last. Will you call orthopedics, please? Keep me posted. I'm a little worried about vascular complications, so don't rush into anything.
It's a pleasure to meet you face to face at long last. I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting.
Not at all.
You're very tolerant. Personally, I can't bear lateness in any form. But, in my defence, the plane was 43 minutes late in taking off.
Did you read the draft proposal I sent yesterday?
Yes, I read it on the plane. It's persuasively written.
Thank you.
Obviously, I have some questions. You're coming to the end of your first quarter as a foundation trust.
We are.
And your board will want to see evidence of innovation, especially in terms of new revenue sources.
I expect they will.
So it would really help your cause if you could wheel me in as some sort of deus ex machina with my big bag of university cash.
Although I question your turn of phrase, I can't dispute the point. But it's not my board of governors we need to convince this afternoon, is it?
We need to convince.
I take your presence here as an encouraging sign.
You may take my presence here as a sign that I'm prepared to listen, but I can't guarantee that I'll back you until I see evidence that you have the resources to turn Holby into a fully fledged teaching hospital.
Mr. Malick has already explained if there is any vascular compromise, then rushing her to the theatre will only exacerbate the situation.
Just like I said,
I still don't think we should wait.
Mr. Hamilton, I've made my decision. We give her 10 milligrams of morphine, we book an MRI, and we wait. You'll all be familiar, I'm sure, with the expression fools rush in.
You the gaffer?
If by gaffer you mean director of surgery, yes, I am.
Matty's been in here for 2 hours. And so far, all you seem to do is argue among yourselves.
At this precise moment, our plan is to wait and see.
Oh, well, let me get this straight. You have no idea what's wrong with her?
That's a reasonable summary so far, yes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an important meeting to attend to. From now on, you will page me only if it's critical, understood? And make sure she stays right there.
Who are you proposing as your clinical skills lead?
My clinical skills lead? I think that's the sort of detail that we
I
can...
would hardly call it a detail. We're talking about the first point of contact for students. The person who'll be setting the curriculum, providing a role model. We need to give the board an idea of the person who will be dealing with the students on a day-to-day basis. Get this right and everything else will fall into place.
I'm needed on the ward, I'm afraid.
No problem. I'll accompany you. I'd be fascinated to see you in action.
Oh, would you excuse me for one moment, please?
Certainly. Mr. Grace, I gather you're trying to secure an early departure for your niece?
Oh, yeah. We're leaving right now. But before we go, I'd like you to know that your bone man here needs to learn some manners.
Well, I apologise if your experience here has been less than satisfactory, but...
Less than satisfactory? You keep her here 2 hours, you get a whole load of different doctors to push and prod her, while those 3 stand gawping at her. You can't tell me what's wrong with her, because we're supposed to wait and see. And then Posh Boy here accuses me of beating up my niece.
It was a misunderstanding. I've apologised. How was I supposed to know she was a lady boxer?
Right, as far as I'm concerned, she should remain here until we know exactly what's wrong with her. So let's fast-track the MRI, get onto it right now.
Already on it.
And Mr. Hamilton, a word with you, if I may. Excuse me.
Dan Hamilton.
How's it bad?
Oh, I didn't know you worked here.
Yeah, I've been here just over a year now. Orthopaedic consultant, believe it or not.
But Dan captained our university rugby 15.
Prof Pav was my hall tutor. Sterling touchline support every home game.
Do you know, we still haven't beaten your season as captain.
No, you're just saying that.
I wish I was. I still remember that match you played against...
Mr. Hanssen, the MRI is free right now.
Very good.
Mr. Hanssen, sorry, I'd like to convene a multidisciplinary
Not
meeting.
today, out of the question.
I know
I'm
you're
afraid.
busy with the Vice Chancellor.
Is the patient critical?
Well, as things stand, he's stable.
Then why are we having this conversation?
But his condition will only get worse.
Mr. Hope, rules are rules. As a non-EU citizen, he forfeits the right to surgery.
Without a valve, his prospects are very bleak.
Which is regrettable.
I'm not sure I can let him leave.
It's not your decision to make.
Hospital policy.
NHS policy.
This is all clear. You let me go.
It's all clear. I'll call you the taxi myself. Keep calm. Keep your arm absolutely still, please. All right, begin, Mr. Malick.
But even if this is all clear, there's no way you're going to be fighting tonight. You know that, right?
I think that's my decision.
Is it? Or is it your uncle's?
You don't know my uncle.
Okay. Well, this woman that did this to you, did you land any on her at all?
It wasn't a woman.
Come again?
This girl fighting tonight. The Hungarian. She's big. There's only 4 other girls who train at my gym. None of them anywhere near her build.
So who did you fight?
I got this guy, Danny. We only did 3 rounds.
No one even asked what kind of a man gets into a boxing ring with a woman.
He was doing it to help me. To build my strength. I begged him, okay?
Your uncle know about this?
Go nuts.
Then he's not going to want you to fight tonight, is he? In your condition?
You don't understand. Tonight means everything. We've been training for this for years. I'm not going to let him down.
How did the MRI go?
Well, there does seem to be some evidence of a ruptured tendon and a hematoma. Given that the arm circulation has improved, you may go ahead with the exploratory.
Thank you.
I've asked Mr. Malick to accompany you just to get a general surgical perspective.
Right. Oh, Mr. Hanssen. Prof. Pav... Professor Pavlovsky. I understand it's all very hush-hush, but she tells me I'm your first choice for clinical lead.
Does she indeed?
And I just wanted to say thank you for your faith in me. I won't let you down.
Any idea where the professor is right now?
It's my father you should worry about.
Tell her I'm trying to be as reasonable as I can, but if the proposal hasn't materialised by Friday, then the conversation is basically over. All right. Thanks. Okay, bye. So, how did your scan thing go? Is her outlook bleak or sunny?
How well do you know Mr. Hamilton?
Pretty well. Since he was a fresher. He's a phenomenal fly half. Have you ever seen him play?
No.
You're not a rugby man?
No. In my experience, it's a rather brutal, thuggish and pointless pursuit.
I would have thought you might have appreciated it on a tactical level. You strike me as someone who enjoys strategy.
So I gather we've offered Mr. Hamilton the clinical skills lead.
It wasn't an official offer. I merely
Do you not
asked...
think it might have been courteous of you to discuss his suitability with me before broaching the subject
It
with
was
him?
a hypothetical question.
As Director of Surgery, I decide who we appoint in positions of such responsibility.
At the moment, this is all hypothetical. There is no clinical skills lead, there is no pre-registration centre, and there is no £12 million. All you have is an idea which you need me to back.
If there was anything wrong with her, now that we know, we need to take her into care.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
He strikes me as being rather rude and aggressive.
No, I call it driven and challenging.
Are you trying to make a point here?
What point would that be?
Well,
Yep, well done. That's absolutely right, Helen. A ruptured tendon. So, when I take her into theatre, I'll be performing a blunt finger dissection.
we could take a photograph of that little scene right now and put it on the cover of our investment prospectus. Dan?
Do you have any idea what a vascular complication might mean to her?
Fine, look, I'll bring her back first thing tomorrow morning.
No, listen.
No, you listen to me. In 3 hours' time, she's going to be in that ring.
What is wrong with you, man? You know why she's here? You know why she's got those injuries? She's so scared of you, she let herself take a beating from some guy named Danny rather than let you down.
What the hell are you talking about?
You really want to help her? Then why don't you just leave?
So after we hit them with your financial models for 2013-14, we go into case studies and personnel, potential lecturers, and mentors.
Mr. Hamilton always strikes me as someone who's very happy to wear an old-school tie. At what point exactly did you decide to make him your designated poster boy?
I don't think that's a relevant question.
What is the relevant question, then?
The only relevant question, as I see it, is does he fit the brand?
Brand? We're not selling anemic coffee drinks to the great unwashed here.
No, we're selling an education. We want them to choose us.
Which is why you need me. If we become a leading teaching hospital, you'll rise up the university league
Oh,
tables.
come on. You have far more riding on this than I do.
Oh?
I'd guess that your job may very well depend on it.
Your board will be here in 19 minutes. Now, I don't want to have to tell them that the meeting's off, that we have unreconcilable differences, but if I have to, I shall.
If this Mr. Malick is the marvel you claim him to be, why does he seem to keep asking for your help every 5 minutes?
I should point out that Mr. Hamilton is in theatre with him.
Well, then surely they can cope without you.
I'm afraid when a patient's health is at stake, everything else becomes secondary. You can start the presentation without me. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Well, how do you know you still have my backing? Surely there are some major questions still to resolve.
Just one, I think.
So what's your answer? Am I going to back you in there or not? Are you going to throw away a £12 million deal on a point of principle? I'll tell them you have my full backing. We're here today to talk about a very exciting new era of collaboration between the hospital and our university. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Hanssen is needed in theatre, but hopefully he'll be joining us shortly.
Rather a lot of people in here.
Mr. Malick thought our students deserved a closer look.
Quite right, too. So why am I here?
Brachial arteries impeded.
Embolism?
Mm-hmm. But there's something else too.
I told Mr. Malick not to page you. I know you've got an urgent meeting with the board.
Be quiet, please, Mr. Hamilton. So what is there something else I should know about Mr. Malick?
She has markings on her back and her abdomen slightly distended.
Which tells us what?
An internal bleed, I guess, but how?
Well, we won't know till we open her up, will we?
BP's through the floor.
Right, suction and let's pack it.
Found the clot.
If we don't stem this bleeding, we're going to have to mobilise the whole liver. Could you pull the wound up, please?
BP's dropping.
OK, can I get 2 bulldog clips, please?
Small bowel and mesentery, fine. No other points of bleeding there.
Malachites, see how I'm clipping off the artery here?
Pancreas and aorta, fine. Ah, there we have it. That's what we're looking at. Mr. Malick, please.
Dad, can you?
Yep, sure, if you can...
Yeah. Got it.
Got it.
So, what do we have, Mr. Malick?
A tear in the liver.
Tear in the liver. Good. Pax, please.
Suction.
Diathermy for Mr. Malick, please. So, do you think you can cauterize it?
Ah, it's a mess. I'm going to have to resect part of it.
Right. Well, I think you can both take it from here.
Yep. Sure.
In many ways, the clinical skills lead will be one of the most vital figures in our students' education.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Henrik Hanssen. I'm Director of Surgery and Consultant General Surgeon. Forgive me for being so late and for my attire. I come hotfoot from theatre. As Professor Pavlovsky has no doubt explained, what we're proposing here is not just about classroom learning, it's about a hands-on experience. Now, I'm aware that these presentations can be a little dry, so I thought who better to explain what life here will be like than 3 of our students. Thank you. Well, as I hope our young colleagues have just proved, we have the capacity to share our expertise. But more than that, I believe it is our duty. I believe it is time to secure our legacy, which is why I'm delighted that we have the full backing of your Vice Chancellor.
Absolutely. And now, to continue where I left off, as clinical skills lead, we are proposing Mr. Dan Hamilton.
Along with Antoine Malick. As our young students have just said, both surgeons have the qualities the role requires, and together they make a formidable team. It seems almost impossible to choose between them. Wouldn't you agree, Professor? Ah, Mr. Hope, I'm glad I ran into you.
Excuse me. Actually, I'm in a bit of a hurry.
The operation?
Went well, thank you.
Patient's condition deteriorated and you were forced to proceed with surgery?
Something like that.
The valve had already been ordered?
Well,
directly countermanding the instructions I gave you?
Mr. Hanssen, if I am to be of continued value to this hospital, I really must insist on a small measure of autonomy. It's the only way I can do my job.
Right, well, I shall consider that request and bear it in mind.
I thought we were playing on the same team.
Of course we are.
In my experience, people very rarely live up to their reputations. But I'm glad to say you may actually have exceeded yours.
I shall take that as a compliment.
I'm looking forward to working with you on this. You strike me as a man who isn't used to failure. And if you can't make a success of this place, it would be a very public failure.
It would.
We'll speak soon.